This program is a production of Film Music Radio, the home of film music on the Internet.
Hello, I'm Daniel Schweiger, and welcome to On the Score at FilmMusicMag.com. Few composers have had such obvious fun with darkness as Danny Elfman, who parlayed his groovily macabre work for the rock group Oingo Boingo into becoming one of Hollywood's most devilishly unique and in-demand composers. Beginning his career on Tim Burton's Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Elfman's sound grew from circus-like rhythms into the melodic enchantment of Edward Scissorhands, Summersby's period romance, the jazzy accompaniment to Chicago, a civil actions courtroom drama, and Batman's imposing heroics, all among dozens of remarkably varied scores. But it's Danny Elfman's ability to draw devilishly clever rhythms from twisted subjects that continue to bring out the fan acclaim and the composer's best work on such scores as Darkman, Nightbreed, Sleepy Hollow, and Men in Black. And this summer, Elfman's genre guns are blazing once again with Wanted and Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, two scores which use roaring percussion, ominously lush orchestrations, and no small amount of macabre humor as the film's anti-heroes take on armies of assassins and unholy creatures. Yet Elfman will also be light on his melodic feet as his ballet Rabbit and Rogue premieres in Orange County in early August. Now here to talk about his scoring for the realms of popcorn darkness and the artistic stage is composer Danny Elfman. Welcome down the score, Danny.
Hi, thanks.
Well, you certainly have two big bang-up scores this summer, and let's begin by talking about Wanted. The director Timur, were you always the composer in mind for this for him?
Oh, I have no idea. I just know that when I got a call about meeting him, I was enthusiastic, having seen Night Watch, and before I even saw Day Watch, I was already a big fan of his. So he was kind of already way up on my interest list.
What was it about his work that appealed to you?
Well, I thought Night Watch was just wonderfully insane. It had this amazing energy, and he clearly had a great eye, and I loved this Russian sensibility that he had, this really kind of dark, sarcastic quality that's very Timur and very Russian. And I didn't really know what the movie was that he was doing here in America, but I was just hoping some of his schizophrenia would be preserved, and so I went out to Chicago and I met him and said my 5 words of Russian that I speak, and and I just saw a few scenes. They weren't done shooting a little bit, but it was enough to see that it was pretty insane. And I just think he's a talent that's really going to be around for a while. And so I was really anxious to have a chance to work with him.
I'm a big fan of Night Watch and Day Watch myself, and I think his kinetic style really translated to Wanted. It's a fun, violent, black-humored movie, and your score really hits all of those notes. And one of the things that hit me first off was during the training montages, you have this whole Russian dance melody going on you wouldn't think of these kind of rhythms in a film like this. Was this a direct salute to Timur to do the da 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 da?
No. I mean, believe it or not, I had to apologize when he came in. I said, I'm not doing this because of your nationality. I said, when I'm unleashed on my own and I do what I want to do, I end up going to my own Russian roots. So what I did is I wrote 2 versions of that scene, I from top to bottom. 2 completely scored versions. And I said, okay, here's the one you're probably going to like, and I played it for him. And, it was propulsive and had a lot of energy and tied into some other motifs that he used in the film. And then I said, but having heard that, now here's the one that I think it's a lot less obvious of the kind of thing one might play, and you're probably not going to like it. And don't think that I wrote this because you're Russian. This is like from me. But and I played him the second piece, and he said, in his very Timur-like way, he just listened, didn't make any expression, just listens, goes, interesting. Can you play it again? I played it again. Can you play the first one? I played the first one. And can you play the second one again? I played the second one. Oh, they're both very interesting. And he didn't make a decision. I said, well, you have time to decide. And in fact, I'll either, if you're not sure, I'll do them both for the movie. And then over the course of the next 3-4 weeks of working, he said, "You don't have to score the first one. I really like the second one." So I said, "Great, great." So it's just me having fun. I mean, the montage was a fun montage, and I love doing crazy montage. So really, anytime you kind of turn me loose on something like that, I'm gonna do 2 or 3 ideas, and usually the one on the farthest side gets rejected, and in this case it didn't. So God knows I've written crazy stuff before for other montages and films. Just most of them don't make it to the cut, and I understand. It's especially in a big budget movie. So this is kind of a really playing against the grain kind of music, but I think it really makes the scene kind of dance, kind of comes alive. And he was like, "Yes, I love it. I love it. It makes it into a kind of a ballet." And so it stayed in the movie. I was really surprised, but it really wasn't. It wasn't because I was working with a Russian. It just popped into my head, and I was just enjoying myself. It was just one late night of me really enjoying myself.
And it's a surprisingly thematic score. You have a very strong 5-note motif. You have several sub-themes. So where did the central theme come from?
Well, the central theme came from, like all my central themes, it came from an improv in a particular scene, and this melody came out of it. And I was saying, wow, this is interesting. Timur heard this theme, and he said, "This is the steps of fate." And he says, "We'll use this for the fate, the theme, the loom, for the loom and fate." And he had me, I wrote a kind of, without picture, this extended sequence, kind of an imaginary piece of music about 3.5 minutes long, because he was going off to shoot a prologue. And he ended up shooting to this whole piece of music and used it, and none of it made it in the movie. I was really sad that the prologue isn't in there. In the end, I think nobody really understood it, but I hope someday, maybe in a DVD release or something like that, you'll actually get to hear the
and on that note,
you'll get to see the prologue and hear the music that I wrote for it. But that theme is all over the movie anyhow.
And on that note, neither is the original ending in the film.
Right, the original ending is not in the film either. They shot a new beginning and a new ending, which is something I think Timur's always conjuring. So it wasn't like the typical thing where they previewed the movie and there were problems and he went and reshot, because this was before they previewed. It was just really his continuing exploration of the story he wanted to tell. And I think he had this beginning, this prologue in mind from the get-go. And then as the movie evolved, he really wanted to shoot it. And the ending was a perfectly, suitable action movie ending. It wasn't very it wasn't very wild. I mean, it had a lot of action, but I don't know what the word for it. It wasn't
is interesting.
It wasn't as interesting, and that is like an idea that I remember he told me about it when he first had it. He says, "I have an idea for an ending. We're going off to shoot the prologue, and I'm going to try to shoot this ending at the same time." So he just kind of thought of it, and I didn't ever see the ending until I saw the movie 2 weeks ago, because he just described it to me.